Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Chintu Parikh, VP of Marketing at FinOps. Today, we're going to have an interactive conversation about FinOps for AI, or most commonly known as tokenomics, right? If you hear to FinOps Foundation, they're saying AI is following the same path as cloud did, but more importantly, the clouds compared to cloud spend, AI spend is 10x already and is growing very rapidly, right? Today, I'll be joined by Parvinder Singh from AWS. Is a senior SA, and he specializes in Gen AI and works with ISP vendors such as FinOps and JT Giri, our founder and CEO. JT has been building for cloud since early days of EC2, when I think it was in beta. So he has a lot of hands-on experience with public cloud, and he has already built a company that helped companies go to public cloud, and now he's heading up FinOps and actively working on our FinOps product. So today we're going to explore what's changing, where teams are struggling, and what practical steps that leaders like you can take right now to better manage your cloud spend, get a better visibility, and more importantly, how do you prevent the AI cost runs, right? Drop in your questions as we chat, as we go, and we'll keep it conversational. Let's dive in and get going. So I think the first question I have is for Parvinder. Uh, Parvinder, what are like AWS customers? You interact with so many ISVs and the customers. What are you seeing today when it comes to AI cost management? Would you like to share some thoughts, please?
Yes, but first of all, thanks for inviting me. I'm pretty excited to be joining with JT and team. But coming back to the cost management, now if you see the AI cost management, it's becoming an industry-wide governance challenge, and we have all the data pointing it towards it. And there are a few reasons behind it. But before we go, let me share some anecdotes. According to a McKinsey survey they did recently, they had found 93% of the enterprises they've already exceeded their AI budget. Now, again, to point it out, to the giving an example, Uber gave roughly 5,000 of their engineers access to Cloud Code, and that was December of last year. But April of this year, they have used entire AI budget on that tool. Now, the reason you just mentioned on the cloud ops traditionally, and because it's a little different on the AI ops, in cloud FinOps, the ops part or the control was mostly done with the ops teams. But with AI, what we are seeing, it's the developer and the agentic workload driven consumption. And that's pretty different. And again, McKinsey also found out that 60% of the agentic AI cost goes to responses, refinements, retries, loops. So the entire landscape is changing. And to your point, yes, the reason it's changing because it's different from the traditional cloud ops. So going back to your point, that's what we are seeing. The spend and governance is a challenge, but there are reasons behind this. And that's why I'm pretty excited for today's discussion, that how FinOps is a pretty pivotal bridge in between that cost and how we can help.
Thank you. So you're saying because of widespread usage compared to cloud, and that it's not just cloud ops or infrastructure teams, right? Marketing is using it, software developers are using it,
Exactly.
customer success is using everybody. Yeah. So it's
It's the
very
usage driven, but with AI usage driven, and the control is getting something which is the line is getting very blurry, like who is using how much, what, where it's going.
and then the agents too, right?
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. So moving on to kind of JT, where do you like it's a big challenge, right? And everybody's kind of now getting we have passed that token maxing. So how does AI NOps help with the visibility, which is one of the first challenge an organization faces, right? Like there's fragmentation of different usage of different LLM models, their agents, different platform being used. Would you like to share something?
Yeah, I mean, just like what Pravinder said, the adoption is much broader than when cloud took off. It's not just engineering, but everyone is leveraging AI as much as engineering. We were talking to enterprise customers. I won't name any names. Chintu, you were on a call with me
Yeah.
yesterday. They mentioned within their organization, um, they have 10 different accounts, entities with OpenAI. Now that's very, like, typical of how, like, these things take off. Like, this used to happen in early cloud days. Um, so it's like, it's not that AI spend is bad. Obviously no one is saying that. It's just that we don't have an understanding of, who are the different teams who are spending money and on what initiatives. And what I see over and over is, just if you could just start there, understand, just try to allocate, your AI spend, and have ownership and accountability. That right there is like huge progress and huge step forward. In the absence of that, what happens normally, this is when you hear news, where people like, oh, we're going to completely take away, the access to AI. Obviously, that doesn't make any sense either, right? If you can somehow figure out a way to, get visibility into how are you spending money on AI and allocate by different teams, that is like, crawl, the phase. And if you can do that, normally that right there could have a huge impact on how you're managing overall investments.
So thanks, JT. Switching to you, Parvinder. AWS is very much involved in this, and we've been working with you guys since the early days, right? And things have evolved on the AWS too,
Yep.
with Bedrock and open source model. You guys support a lot of different models, and also, so how does you want to share some, like, at the platform level? How are you helping organization to manage the AI costs, right?
Yeah, few things which come to my mind right away. In the interest of time, not diving deep because each point will need to have its own discussion. But just to start with, as you mentioned, the model selection. Now, Amazon or Bedrock gives the multitude of models ranging from OpenAI to Anthropic to Meta. But with those models also comes to JT's point that everyone's using it and how they're using it. But choosing the right model for the task is the first lever which everyone should start looking at. If you're doing a classification or extraction, a smaller model will do. Like, it doesn't have to be the shiny object, like, which has to be pretty new or a big one. But if you're doing reasoning tasks which needs more capacity, go for a bigger model. Customers should also start leveraging the intelligence prompt routing mechanisms within Bedrock. So what it does, it analyzes the complexity in routes and points it to the most cost-effective model. Then comes the throughput mode, on demand for good for variable workloads, but go with provision throughput. It provides the predictable pricing once you have a consistent baseline. And coming back, I would want to point it. This is where NOps also comes in and bridges the gap. That it can identify when the cross team or the cross pollination of the threshold is getting away or out of hand. Cost and usage report, a very important tool which everyone should start using it. It can provide a per invocation, per model token level data. So these three right away, if customers are looking at it, they should start looking at building on top of all these.
No, that's awesome. JT, you want to comment on what Parvinder is saying? Like, we support a very large, all the different platforms and we bring everything together, but it's specifically, how do we kind of tie into the AWS platform, right?
Yeah, in general, when, let's take an example, engineers, when they're developing software, their number one priority is to get the product out, get the feature out. And, they're not that concerned about the type of model they're using and things like that. And rightfully so, right? Like we have always trained engineers to really just focus on delivering features and reliability and all that. However, what we notice is if you can provide visibility into, how the engineers could actually optimize their costs, engineers normally would take action. And I normally feel like that's the missing piece. And if you can provide like actionable insight to engineers as part of their workflow, I notice the behavior changes and people are able to select the right models. And many times, you're producing the same output and you're reducing cost by maybe 30-40%. So it's just, Chintu, this is just where we're at as an industry. This thing just grew very rapidly and obviously very beneficial as far as how we actually work. Now we just need to build workflows and bring some mechanisms that's going to help us to also have a good handle on what type of models we're using and also factor in the cost impact.
That's awesome. JT, so I think you addressed some of this, right? We'd love to kind of see the demo, but we've been working quite a bit on getting not only visibility, but setting budgets, and more importantly, detecting anomalies very early, unit economics, right? All of those things. So that's kind of the next two questions are really tied to those, right? Like, and they kind of work hand in hand together, right? Just visibility by alone doesn't do much. Yeah, so I can see who's spending what, but really governing and preventing budget overruns, and then making sure if somebody really needs that budget, we can approve it fast. Uh, that flexibility organizations need, right? It's not like I just have a hard limit on this and I'm going to cut you off, right? Because it's being used for productive purposes. You want to share some thoughts and maybe then do a quick demo?
Yeah. One of the philosophies of managing cloud spend worked really well was just making sure you have 100% of your costs allocated, and then you have budget for each one of those areas, and you have clear ownership for each one of the categories, whether that be teams, different business units, and etc. um, and that logic applies to AI. I really recommend everyone to make sure that 100% of their AI spend should be allocated by different business units and different teams. And then there should be clear owners of each one of those uh, uh, categories and have budgets and things like that. Now, there's a lot of advantage of that. I was talking to one of our customers. When you categorize your AI costs, let's say by engineering and marketing, all of a sudden, you can use AI to pick up anomalies. Like if, let's say, someone from engineering is burning a lot of tokens on Nano Banana, just making up an
Yeah.
example. Now, all of a sudden, this is not the use case engineers should be working on. So that right there, like, goes a long way, and helps you to kind of have a better handle and predictability. I guess the biggest challenge industry is facing right now is predictability around AI spend. Everyone is in agreement that this is very useful and this is the way we move forward and work. But it's like, how do you bring predictability? So I will share my screen here real quick. One of the ways we do this in NOps is, uh, as I mentioned, like we allocate 100% of our costs into different categories. And as you allocate, unallocated goes away. And for each one of the groups, you have clear owners, like who's responsible for managing and approving any limit increases. Uh, if you have that issue, which most of the companies do, right? Because the AI usage is growing, and there's always someone who's asking for limit increases. And then we automatically, based on your historical usage, we actually set budget for each one of the categories. You can also set budget for each individuals if you want to. And based on that, like we do all this automatically across OpenAI. Um, we do this with Bedrock. We do this with Anthropic, AWS. And once you set this up, anytime someone is going over their limit, we not only surface like the models they're using, how is the spend trending, how is it comparing to their peers, and like are there recommendations on how this person could actually improve the usage they have. And as you know, Chintu, like from the customers we are working with, that right there, once you have enough guardrails like this, AI spend all of a sudden becomes a lot more manageable, and many times you end up reducing the cost, and once again you double down on things that are delivering ROI, and tighten things that are not, delivering ROI.
Oh, that's awesome. So you're like we are bringing the accountability down to the user level, right? Like, and not only that, it's not just accountability, letting kind of if that employee needs it, right? They can share their comments. The manager would know what the employees is working on, and then also show the manager would see what how is this trending, what are they spending, what model they are spending on, and then really give them a full context for approving. And then the CFO can join the platform, and they can look at why manager approved certain things or not.
Yeah.
And then the budget, if they're tracking in line or they're going overrun. But I think that's a very big step in kind of controlling and managing the AI costs, right?
Yeah, one point on that note. So basically, when you set up cost allocation in NOps, you define your FinOps persona. It could be for startups, could be CFO, and for medium companies, obviously, and enterprises, there are like dedicated FinOps roles. That person gets notified for overall AI budget in the organization, which is huge, right? Because end of the day, it's an equation. You're trying to make sure somehow you stay within the budget for your overall AI spend.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I totally agree with
Yeah.
JT. Like with the context of JT, what JT provided, that the teams, and it's partly now owned by two, engineering and also the ops. So engineering's going for should go for prompt caching, batch inferences. To JT's point, guardrails not only provide security, but it can also filter out content or irrelevant content, which can actually be a cost. So if it's non-relevant or off-topic prompts, that also brings cost. So if everyone has it, the context should be very clear, the context window management, and on top of it, the governance for the cross teams and even cross accounts. I think NOps plays a very vital role out there.
Thank you, Parvinder. Kind of we just have a couple of minutes left in this LinkedIn Live. I think so for listeners and the viewers, right, of this LinkedIn Live, how do NOps and AWS work together? And then how can they best leverage this relationship, right? The end goal is, right, am I driving more value out of my AI spend? Am I spending it in who's spending what, unit economics and whatnot? You mind sharing some closing thoughts, please?
I can go first, from
Yep.
if you don't mind.
Yep.
A lot of our customers are like on Bedrock, And one of the things we empower customers to do is, have a better handle on just overall Bedrock spend. You can better forecast the overall cost for the spend on Bedrock. That has been honestly one of the biggest impact I've seen across our customers who are using Bedrock and leveraging NOps to have better accountability and ownership. Um, yeah, that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, from my end, reiterate the fact what JT is saying. Take it into layers. Imagine that for your infra and model optimization with Bedrock, even with the optimization tools we have like right model or throughput models and the caching and the guardrails, but the cross-vendor financial governance on top of it, what even Bedrock's providing, that's where unified visibility allocation or the budgets which NOps provide. So that actually gives a full picture. And even the crux of the matter today, a lot of organizations still have their spend across multiple vendors with Bedrock. So if someone's on Bedrock, and even on that level, if their Bedrock provides all the AI governance, and on top of it, where NOps comes in and provide the spend as a business metrics, I think that complete picture gives the customer and gives the NOps and AWS a better together story, and provides that governance, token spend, and a business value, which customers can actually look at it and then go with it. So I completely agree with JT.
And JT, you had this, not sure if it's here, but this is probably a good way to summarize the whole take, right? Like what NOps does from a FinOps for AI, right? You want
Yeah,
closing thoughts on this, and then
yeah, absolutely. So in nutshell, as I showed in the demo, we ingest all the billing data. We ingest from OpenAI, Anthropic, Bedrock, and then we help you to allocate that cost by different teams, different business units. And that context is very important because it helps us to find anomalies. Again, the example I gave earlier, like if someone from engineering is working on a use case that doesn't fit engineering, we can pick that up as an anomaly. And then we provide continuous budget governance where it's fully automated. We are rebalancing your overall AI budget to make sure you're staying within the budget. And what that really allows you to do is centralize budget control across all the model providers. Helps you to control runaway AI spend, and really helps you to double down on things that are delivering ROI, and tighten things that are not. So you know based on our experience working with customers, once you roll something like this out, it just becomes a lot more easier to double down on things that are delivering ROI.
okay, gentlemen, I think we have some questions. So I'm gonna open up. Yes, so open up the floor. Yes, so we have a question from Dr. Christine. She's been in the FinOps field, and you can see it here. This is question for both FinOps and AWS. It's around the business value, right, and the outcome. The question is, what do we mean by business value in this context, right?
I can try to answer, and JT, please jump in if I'm
Go
way
ahead.
off. So business value, and what I was also reiterating that with AWS and ops, AWS provides the context, the cost and usage report, even with the reports on the structure, IAM, principle-based cost allocations. That's all on AWS, and then on Bedrock. And NOps and Bedrock can provide customers not only on Amazon Bedrock, but imagine that the cross vendors where everyone has a lot of AI spend across. So the better together story providing NOps and AWS actually goes in complete picture to the business user, where the allocation metrics where it's going, what it's doing to the token level. So all that can actually provide a better business value. We're going back to my point that the AI spend and the governance is actually a challenge, but this can provide that as a better picture and a complete picture on the dashboards and where it's going.
Yeah, I'll maybe give a real world example on our account. So we are, heavy Bedrock users, and we actually run a bunch of open cloud agents on Bedrock, and some of them are for marketing, and some of them are for other purpose. And that spend right now, like if we don't allocate it to, like, for example, Chintu's team or engineering team, it really is a black box. uh, we are seeing tremendous value out of that. However, unless you allocate, create a budget, um, it's just hard to kind of manage that spend. And again, once you go through this process of, like, really, adding accountability and measurement for all your AI spend, all of a sudden business value becomes clear. And there are times, even in our account, we find things that are just complete waste of money, and we no longer need to focus on those initiatives. So yeah, that's what I meant by business value, and it's very important, especially when you have, let's say, hundreds of agents and all different people in the company spending money. Somehow you have to figure out a way to bring it all together and tie it back to a business value.
So we have quite a few questions piling up. But yeah, from a marketing perspective, one of the business value we have seen with like the open cloud-based agent is we are producing more content, but that's just one way to look at it. But more importantly, are we getting more inbounds? We are attracting more people to our site. Are we converting them into, our pipeline? We have a question from our friend Dieter Metzion, the FinOps ambassador and FinOps lead at Roku, right? He's asking, what kind of KPIs do we track for efficiency? And this could be, I think, AI and the platform, right?
Yeah, great question. So in the product, we have three personas that we make sure we're tracking KPIs for. Number one is person who's responsible for managing overall AI budget. So we're tracking that, and internally, and working with the customer, making sure they stay within the budget. The second KPI we track is who there are people within the org who are approving these limits right now. Our number one KPI for that person is making sure that that person gets all the insight they need before they approve or deny the approval request. So that right there obviously helps us to make sure that we're, like, delivering value, and that person is also making intelligent decisions when it comes to managing costs. And lastly, the KPIs we track, the last one is, like, anyone who's using AI, we want to make sure there's no disruption. Going back to my idea of doubling down on things that are delivering ROI and tightening things that are not. If we do the workflow right, normally we're able to catch when people are getting close to 80% of their limit, and we trigger an approval process, and someone like Dieter will review and approve, so there's no disruption, as opposed to doing that thing ad hoc.
We have this question is from, I think, Bindu, who is a FinOps ambassador and senior director of FinOps at Teradata, right? What is a recommendation or best practice for visibility, accountability, and cost control for the POCs of the AI products, right? So this is a little bit different. Both of you can chime in real quick. And we have a few more questions after this. So
Yeah, on the POC, I would say the things which come to my mind divided like visibility and accountability. In terms of visibility, accounts per POC, you enable the cost and usage report, enable IAM on the AWS side. I'm talking about the Bedrock, and so IAM principal based cost allocation, and also on the API limits. Then the accountability in terms of the POC to ROI, define the budget on where the POC is going, require weekly cost budgeting around that. Max tokens on APIs, again, the guardrails and the caching and the context windows we've seen. So I would say treat AI POCs like a production cost consequences from day one, because to everyone's point that because tokenization and the tokens, they go out very quickly when the POC is even on the POC level. So enabling these on AWS's side helps. And again, NOps on top of it gives you a deeper down and a deep dive on the dashboards. So that's from my end, like looking at a very high level picture, giving it how the AI POCs I would do the KPIs.
Yeah. Should we take the next question, JT? Yeah. So this is from Tony, who is a IT leader at BCG and a customer of ours, right? This is near-time visibility is a hot topic, right? Can you comment on this, JT? How is this NOS platform provides?
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree with this. Yeah, most of the time, if you're waiting for reviewing your AI cost and just overall usage, like on a weekly basis, it's already too late. We are monitoring real time, and every alert any workflow we trigger is within like 30 minutes to an hour, and that's honestly the stage we're in as an industry. Like this stuff is evolving rapidly, use cases are changing rapidly within the organization, so you absolutely need to have this real time. And yeah, we process all the data and trigger workflow within 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, so next question is for both of you from Ray Collins. He's a FinOps practitioner or tokenomics practitioner. Who have you seen in the organization that's kind of responsible for optimizing AI spend or tokens, right? This is early days, but what are your thoughts?
I can go first. I think it's both engineering and the operations and the C-suite on the financial side, even the product. So it's like a combination. Engineering, they would own the layer of optimization, where model selection, prompt optimization, caching, content management, that context management would go in. Then who will own the guardrail side of things? To JT's point, as going back to our discussion, budgets, the attribution anomalies. So I think it's a combination of the organization now. As we discussed, it's not the traditional cost optimization or the AI or the cloud optimization. So it's actually not one, but everyone's involved, engineering and the ops. So that's my take and our take on that. So JT, if you want to add more.
Yeah, I feel like the dynamic is exactly the same. So you have this finance persona who is obviously highly motivated to stay within budget and optimize and reduce AI costs. So we see that. However, normally, this persona does not have, the access or the knowledge of different workloads to have an impact. So they put pressure on engineering to reduce costs or on other areas. And then what I'm noticing is like normally, sometime like head of engineering, even many cases like DevOps people, and obviously if there's an established FinOps org within the company, then those people are taking the responsibility. But it is very fluid, but at the same time, it resembles how we manage cloud cost.
Yeah, I think more and more FinOps, if you look at the data presented by FinOps Foundation, right, 98% of the FinOps practitioners are now saying they're managing, right, the AI calls, and many times, like Parvinder said, with their counterparts in engineering or AI, right? So it's a collaborative thing that is very rapidly evolving, and then finance persona, like JT said, is the most interested one. I think we are over, but thank you both of you. Great questions, and yeah, if you have more questions, please feel free to comment on our LinkedIn post for this
Or
event,
reach
and
out
we'll
directly.
answer them.
Please
Yep.
reach out directly if you have any questions.
Yeah.
Love to
And
recap.
then in Seattle, we have a live in-person event with AWS, right? So here's the QR code. Please join us there if you are in the area or you live in the area, right? We'd love to kind of meet you in person and answer the questions and share our insights. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.